Geography Chapter 6 Major Landforms of the Earth. This is Part 2. Children, in the previous chapter, we have read that the surface of the Earth is not the same everywhere. It is highly uneven. Some areas are highlands like mountains and hills, and some areas are lowlands like plains. Among these highlands and lowlands, there are different types. Highlands can be of many different types. Some highlands are steep highlands like mountains, hills, valleys, etc., which we have read in the previous class. Some highlands are flat but high above the sea level, and such highlands are called plateaus. So children, what are plateaus? Plateaus are elevated flatlands. These are flat top table and standing above the surrounding areas. Plateau is defined as an area of high ground 500 feet above the ground level. These uplands have steep slopes on one side, and the upper part is generally flat and it is called tableland. Children, mountains and plateaus both are elevated landforms. So what is the difference between a mountain and a plateau? Mountain is an elevation with steep slopes, whereas a plateau is an elevated plain. Plateaus are generally lower in height than mountains, but there are plateaus higher than some mountains. Because of their flat surface, plateaus are densely populated, whereas because of steep slopes, mountains are less populated. So children, these are the basic differences which differentiate mountains and plateaus. So now let's move to the next topic, how the plateaus are formed. Plateaus can be formed by a number of processes, such as due to tectonic movements or internal forces like volcanic eruptions, or due to external forces like river or wind. So how due to tectonic movement or internal forces plateaus are formed? When lava erupting from cracks on the earth's surface, it spread in the surrounding areas, and then it cools down and eventually forms plateau. Some plateaus are formed due to external forces when the sides of a land are weathered away by erosion. Rivers flow down the slopes of high mountains. They carry stones and sand with the water. These are known as residual plateaus also. Plateaus cover 45% of land surface. Most plateaus are located in the semi-arid and arid regions of the world. Some of them are also found near the tropics or on the leeward side of mountains. On the basis of their origin and location, plateaus can be broadly classified into the following types. Types of plateaus: intermontane plateaus, Piedmont plateaus, continental plateaus, volcanic plateaus, and dissected plateaus. So let us understand types of plateaus on the basis of their formation. Intermontane plateau. A plateau surrounded by mountains is called intermontane plateau. Intermontane plateaus are the highest plateaus in the world, bordered by mountains. Intermontane plateau is enclosed or surrounded by mountain ranges. For example, Plateau of Tibet. The Tibetan plateau is the highest plateau in the world. It is also called the roof of the world. Other examples of intermontane plateaus are Bolivian plateau in the Andes, Columbia plateau in the USA, and Tarim Basin in Asia. Piedmont plateaus. A Piedmont plateau is bordered by mountains on one side and a plain or an ocean on the other side. A Piedmont plateau is formed at the foot of mountains. Example, the Piedmont Plateau of the USA. Other examples are Colorado Plateau in North America and Patagonia Plateau in South America. The next plateau is Continental Plateau, a plateau formed away from mountains and it is surrounded by plains or mountains. Continental plateaux are also called tectonic plateau. Example, Antarctic Plateau in East Antarctica. The plateau region of peninsular India, West Australia, Greenland are the other examples of continental plateaus. Volcanic plateaus. Volcanic plateaus are formed by volcanic activity. Molten lava may come out from cracks on the Earth's surface slowly due to volcanic activities. These cracks are called fissures. Sheets of basaltic lava are sprayed upon one another to form lava plateau. Examples of volcanic plateaus are the Deccan Plateau of India, the Columbian Snake Plateau of USA. Dissected plateau, a plateau that is cut into sections by the valley of rivers flowing through it. Dissected plateaus are highly eroded plateaus because these are cut by rivers and broken by deep, narrow valleys. These plateaus are formed due to continuous process of weathering and erosion. The surface of these plateaus become highly irregular. Example, the Deccan Plateau of India. The Deccan Plateau is dissected plateau because several seasonal rivers flows across the Deccan Plateau. Other example is Scottish Highlands. Now children, let us understand how are plateaus important to us. Plateaus are storehouse of minerals. They have rich deposits of minerals. African plateau has huge reserves of gold and silver. Chota Nagpur Plateau in India is famous for coal, iron and magnesium deposits. Plateaus are also the source of several waterfalls. When the rivers flowing over plateaus fall from their edges to surrounding plains, spectacular waterfalls are formed. For example, the Jog and Shivasundaram waterfalls of Karnataka and Hundru Falls in Chota Nagpur Plateau. As water flowing from rivers fall from great heights are ideal site for building of dams and generation of hydroelectricity. Lava plateaux that are formed due to volcanic eruptions have black soil, which is suitable for cultivation. Most plateaus have rich grazing grounds as these have plenty of grass. The green pastures on the plateaus are perfect match for the growth and rearing of domestic animals. Plateaus have rich forest cover. Their scenic beauty attracts tourists. For example, the Ranchi Plateau and Hazaribagh Plateau of India are health resorts. Previously, we have read about mountains and plateaus as these are the highland areas. Now, we will learn lowland areas in which we will read about plains. Plains are the lowland areas. Plains are the most important landforms found on the earth because since ancient time, plains are the most thickly populated popular region of the world. So what are plains? Plains are broad lowlands, flat regions with very gentle slopes. About 55% of the Earth's land surface is occupied by plains. Plains are found on all continents except Antarctica. They occur north of the Arctic Circle, in the tropics, and in the middle latitudes. How are plains formed? Most of the plains are formed by deposition of sediments brought down by rivers and their tributaries. As the river flowed down the slopes of mountains and plateaus, river water erode materials and carry deposits like sand and silt along the valleys. But some plains have also been formed by the action of crust movement or tectonic activities. Generally, plains are not more than 200 meters above the main sea level. Classification of plains. On the basis of their mode of formation, plains can be classified as structural plains, depositional plains, and glacial plains. What are structural plains? Structural plains are original low-lying areas of the world, which means these lands are naturally formed plains. They are formed of original horizontal bedded rocks or by the upliftment of the crust movement or tectonic plate movements. These type of plains are located on the borders of almost all the major continents. These types of plains are more stable plains and perfect for human settlements. The examples of structural plains are the Russian plains, the Great Plains of USA, the Malabar coastal plains of India, and many more. What are depositional plains? As we can understand with the word deposition, and depositional activities are done by rivers and wind. So these plains are formed by deposition by river and their tributaries. As rivers erode the highlands from where they originate, transport the load of eroded material. As they reach the middle and lower course, they deposit the sand, silt, and clay. Many types of plains are formed by depositional activities, such as alluvial plains, flood plains, and delta plains. Deposition by river and waves along the sea coast form coastal plains. Most of the plains of the world are depositional plains. For example, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, Brahmaputra Plains, Huanghe Plains of North China, Coromandel Coast of India. What are glacial plains? Glacial plains are formed by the movement of glaciers under the force of gravity. For example, Canada Plains, Siberia Plains, etc. Plains are most densely populated regions of the world because plains are very important to us in many ways. Plains are the most densely populated areas in the world because of its fertile soil and availability of water. Agriculture flourishes best on plains. It provides land for cultivation, fertile soil and long growing seasons support rich variety of crops. It is easy to build houses, construction road and lay down railway lines, which gives better connectivity and promotes trade. So children, in this chapter you have learned about different types of landforms. These landforms influence human life in many ways. Different landforms support and nurture different kinds of plant and animal life. Such as, life in mountainous areas is tougher than in the plains. The slopes of mountains do not support many crops, but they are good for certain plantations and orchards. The plateau regions have rich deposits of several minerals and precious stones. Plains and valleys have rich fertile soil which flourish agriculture in these areas. People module their lives' activities, houses, food, and clothing accordingly to the different landforms in which they live. The natural disasters in these areas are also different. Mountains and plateaus experience extreme weather and natural disasters like landslides, earthquakes, cloudbursts, storms, etc., where in plains flood and droughts are common. So children, we have learned about advantages provided by different relief features or landforms. So these landforms are important for our life because it gives diversity and variations to our lives.